Let's call it for what it is. The bill that was supposed to be official in 2 weeks will be 2 weeks earlier, and we can't do anything about it. So we are going to collaborate with the government, knowing that we cannot stop a bill that, according to experts, will multiply work conflicts and will not be a solution.
It's extremely chaotic in Montreal. It's a labor conflict that is extremely damageable for a population. So we need to make sure that this law comes into effect as quickly as possible to put an end to the situation.
The unions and the STM should present a right willingness to really negotiate at the table, and I think they could do that.
Okay, there's the trio. You have Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon, Jean Boulet, and then, of course, Soraya Martinez-Ferreira, all addressing the STM situation. So James Mennie is on the line over at the Montreal Gazette. So, Jim, PSPP will hold his nose and vote for this. But I'm trying to understand how this is going to work, because now we heard earlier that Quebec Solidaire has already said they will not support the CAQ in this. So what happens next?
So the rules of procedure are that you have to have the unanimity of the National Assembly in order to bring this in early. This is what this whole idea is to invoke, I think it's Bill 14. It was supposed to go into effect at the end of the month. They want it to go into effect, in fact, this week. However, the Quebec Solidaire can posture all that it wants. The fact is, and Jean Boulet, whose voice we heard in that clip, the Quebec's Labour Minister, has made it clear that if they do dig in their heels, he'll just invoke closure the way they invoke closure on everything, Aaron, and cut off debate and ram this thing through. And for a change, I think a lot of people will be applauding that move. I find it fascinating. I mean, there's this great story right now about this STM strike and how it has finally managed to garner the attention of our elected officials up in Quebec City. This idea that Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon, as you say, he's holding his nose and voting for this. He is really trying to steer a middle course. He wants to derive all the benefit with none of the responsibility, saying, well, we know the experts are saying this is going to cause more labor problems, but, we're going to vote for it, because, it's going to happen anyway, so we're just going to be in favor of it. And, of course, it allows the government to essentially do a favor to Montrealers who are being held hostage by this. And this ridiculous, absolutely, utterly ridiculous decision by the Quebec Labour Tribunal to give this, to have this strike run for a month, rush hour service only. That may have worked back in the day. It doesn't work anymore. There's nobody's 9 to 5 anymore. Lives have changed, jobs have changed. So it really is disruptive. So I don't think anybody, apart from the dogmatists or the so-called labor experts who will say it's going to cause more problems than it solves, who are going to oppose this. But it's also been very interesting to watch how, as much as the head of the PQ is trying to steer this middle course and garner all the advantage with none of the cost. Here's the newly elected mayor of Montreal, Soraya Martinez-Ferreira, who is essentially saying, you know what, and she's made it clear, I can't do anything. I can't stick my nose in here. This is a negotiation between an agency and a union. And she has been ever present, though. She's been saying, call it truth. She's been saying, listen, negotiate. We can't hold the city hostage like this. And that in of itself, I don't recall a mayor taking that definitive a stand when it came to a labor dispute. Because back in the day when there was the Essential Services Council, you really hoped things would work out. But as I say, this is not then. And a lot more people are being inconvenienced and in some cases jeopardized in any number of ways. But I mean, the Montreal's new mayor certainly is garnering some cred with her conduct over the course of this. It's going to be interesting to see how long the union decides to dig in its heels, or indeed says, you know what, let's just go with the flow. We'll agree to a truce. Don't let them bring this thing in. Let's how can I put it? Let's run up the white flag on our own rather than have someone do it for us. And we'll try and get some negotiated settlement. And if things don't work down the road, then we'll complain about it. But it's been very, very fascinating to watch how this is going. And as I say, right now, the Legault government needs some kind of a plus even if it's in the area of Montreal, which they've always perceived as enemy territory. They only have basically one seat there. But the bottom line here is if they can help out Montreal, they may help themselves in the polls. They may scrape off some of the corrosion that Francois Legault has poured all over this government. But, we'll have to wait and see. But right now, it's fascinating to watch how everyone is taking a stand on this and how that stand either benefits or perhaps compromises them. But as I say, as far as Martinez Ferrado is concerned, I think she has played this one very, very masterfully. And I don't think she's going to be able to lose on this one, Aaron.
So we move from that, Jim, to the other story, kind of breaking news here, and it's more bad news for the Legault government, this time, of course, over Bill 2, the one that, punishes doctors. What do we got here?
Yeah. Well, basically, what we have is what anybody with anything regarding an appreciation of Quebecers would have, and unfortunately that's not Francois Legault. Quebecers loathe Bill 2. 47% of respondents are in disagreement with it, and only 27% support it. But perhaps even more importantly, the concern over the departure of doctors from Quebec is at 73%, which is something that you really don't want to be doing. 73% doesn't mean this is a Montreal problem anymore, Aaron. This is right across the province, or perhaps, as Francois Legault would prefer, the nation. And this is going to be top of mind for a lot of people who are waiting to have medical procedures, a lot of people who are waiting to have medical consultations. The uncertainty that this government has sown in an already worry-prone healthcare system is absolutely inexcusable. And if this survey is any indication, the only way the CAQ will continue to go is down in the polls. So perhaps they might have got a 5 or 6% bump with our last topic, with the STM strike. This one is really, really going to drive them into the ground. And the question I'm asking now isn't even about the surveys or the issues. The question is, how long will the Coalition Avenir Québec caucus tolerate being led by someone who is utterly out of touch with Quebec, someone who is completely indifferent to what Quebecers are saying and what they want, and whose only priority, political or otherwise, seems to be assuaging his own ego, making sure that whatever he says goes. We're seeing the results right now, and quite frankly, Aaron, I think unless we come to a corner here or come to a head and a confrontation, things are going to get indescribably worse, not just for the healthcare network, but also just for the entire governance of Quebec. Things are going downhill, and they're going downhill very, very quickly.
So let's take a look at this, because this is a survey that just came out. Obviously, we know the government's going to now look at this and go, oh, wait a sec. We thought we could sell the public our plan, which is we're doing this for the betterment of all Quebecers and efficiency. Turns out that's backfiring. So what do they do? Does this finally get Francois Legault to back down? Because, even yesterday, Jim, he's like, hey, never mind going to rent out the Bell Center. Come and talk to us. I'm not changing my mind. Does this change his mind?
In terms of having his political judgment dictated by his ego, I think Francois Legault is utterly comparable to Donald Trump. I think Francois Legault, as far as he is concerned, is never wrong. And I think at this point, the question, and that's why I mentioned the CAQ caucus, Aaron, they have to ask themselves, do you want to be the equivalent of Donald Trump's Republican Party, or do you want to represent your constituents? Let's face it, in this part of the world, in this country, or in this nation, we elect people, constituents elect their MNAs to represent them. Do they really think that they are doing their constituents, giving them the best service they can by following what is clearly not just an unpopular, but a misguided and demonstrably detrimental policy that is being created for no other reason than to move some numbers around on the bottom line without any consideration whatsoever for its effect on the healthcare network? I think really now the ball is not in Francois Legault's court. It's not in the Federation's court. I think the ball is really in the hands of the CAQ caucus, and they have to ask themselves, how far off the cliff are you willing to follow Francois Legault? Because obviously they're going to hear from their constituents, right? Absolutely. They're doing it already. Yeah. And indeed, they're I mean, much in the same way as we see south of the border, they're keeping a lid on the discontent. They're keeping a lid on the dissent. But we're seeing, I mean, we talked about, there's 9 people who already left the caucus. There's still about 80 of them left. But I got to tell you, please don't think they're in a vacuum now. It was nice and cozy when everyone loved the government, when it was Monarch François in the days of the pandemic. Those days are gone. And right now, a lot of people are looking at François Legault as being the main, the symbol of what is wrong, what is going wrong in Quebec. And that is not a very good place, I think, for any politician to be, whether it's the premier or someone who's a member of his caucus.
Jim, you have a note here that says the Legault government's latest adversary, heavy snow. What does that mean?
Oh, come on.
What?
I'm very, we were talking earlier about Remembrance Day. I was talking about all the ceremonies that I covered. And I said, you know what, I would estimate about half of those, there was snow on the ground, okay? When it was November 11th and it was Remembrance Day. And now they say, whoa, we weren't expecting the snow to come this early. We were completely unprepared. But that snow is really, really heavy. You know what? That's snowball snow. Don't talk about heavy. That's snowball snow. Yeah. And yes, it's heavy. And yes, it used to fall all the time. It was the magic snow, the first snowfall of the year, the one you make Frosty the Snowman out of. But now all of a sudden, we don't know what to do. And you know what? The leaves were still on the trees. Give me a break. I understand Hydro's working hard. I was without power for 11 hours, and, they like to manage expectations. They said we'd be back by 3 o'clock this afternoon. I lost at 11 o'clock last night, and I got it back at noon. So, yeah, I'm happy as a clan. But the bottom line here, and this is not the first time it's been mentioned, is, yes, Hydro-Quebec is the onus from the government is that Hydro-Quebec build more dams, increase capacity, make more money for Quebecers. But other people are saying, man, you've got to start looking at your infrastructure, maintain that infrastructure, which is in many cases very, very old and in need of replacement. And honestly, if branches keep knocking down wires, imagine that, branches with leaves and snow, my God help us. I think it's going to be a really, really long winter, Aaron, because quite frankly, this was not what people were expecting on November 11th. Even looking at that snow this morning, I really wasn't expecting the power to be out for quite this long. And to affect, my God, 375,000 customers. That's about 1.2 million Quebecers. Imagine that. Because of what? The heavy snow.
Yeah. We had someone on from Hydro off the top of the show. That number this morning at its peak was over 400,000, believe it or not. So,
So
welcome to winter. Okay. James Mennie at the Montreal Gazette. Jim, I should tell you, when you do that voice, like that one, yeah, that's like my wife when she's yelling at me for me having forgotten to do something. Same voice. So it kind of hit home for me. Thank you. That was great.
I'm sorry if you had a little PSP,
that's
a little
fine.
Post-trauma. I'm sorry about that, Aaron. I didn't mean to do it. I'll rein myself.
No, that's fine. Oh, you didn't have time to go get that, did you?
Yeah,
all right.
Sure.
James Mennie at the Montreal Gazette.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.